First question comes from Keith out of Pennsylvania here. Question is, should passengers have to ID themselves based on a seatbelt violation? We've all been there. Officer conducted a traffic stop and the passenger refuses to provide identification. In the process, officers notice he's not wearing his seatbelt. Is this alone enough to force the passenger to provide ID? And if so, how far does one take it so he complies, i.e. fingerprint him to obtain ID? I feel like this isn't talked about enough, as there's always a split amongst officers about what is right. Well, there's a few things that are going on here. I imagine you got to wear a seatbelt in Pennsylvania. I haven't been back that way in a while, but
no helmets, no
right?
helmets,
No helmets, right?
I don't think they have. Is there a helmet law? I don't think there's a helmet law in Pennsylvania.
Gosh, I don't know. But I imagine you got to wear your seatbelt in the car. So let's just talk about identification of passengers real quick. When you conduct a traffic stop based on a moving violation or PC with a driver committed an infraction, you can't compel your passengers to identify themselves unless they are independent reasonable suspicion about them. There is some sort of probable cause. They're sitting there with a road soda on the lap. They got the beer going on the lap, hanging out there, or they don't have their seatbelt on per the statutes around there. So with that information that they're not wearing a seatbelt, you've got probable cause that they're committing a crime, independent probable cause that this passenger is committing a crime. So with that, yes, they have to identify themselves because of your observation in there. And then he goes on to say, can you force the passenger to provide an identification? If so, how far do we take it? A lot of states have a computer electronic fingerprint identification things out there in the field. I know Pennsylvania does. I know California does for sure. I think that's reasonable if there's they're not willing to provide you information here, and you could identify this person without having to take them to jail to get them identified. I think that's at least much more minimally intrusive to do so. But the bottom line, they've got to identify themselves. They're committing a crime.
Well, I mean, at least a violation, right? I mean, some kind of civil violation.
Yes.
Hey, look, if you can't force a diem, identify them, then let's just get the word out that if you don't want to wear your seatbelt in Pennsylvania, just don't wear it and just don't identify yourself.
There you go. Right.
I mean, let's roll dirty.
Right.
And then let's just tell the cop, hey, you heard the podcast by, Anthony and Mike. They said we don't, have to identify themselves. So beat it. The point is, it's Philly. Like, every state has a mechanism to enforce their laws, right?
Correct.
And if you can't write the person a citation, then that's not a get out of jail free card. In fact, that it's a go to jail free card.
Yes, and that would ultimately, if you can't identify this person, that may be the ultimate next step to get them identified. They have to go to jail, and in some places, it takes weeks to potentially identify the person if they're not in the system.
Yeah,
so,
we might do like a John Doe type deal.
Yes, and again, that seems like a very less favorable outcome in holding your ground and not identifying yourself for sure.
Yep. All right. So that's easy math right there. I like to say, like that's 1 + 1 = 2, right? I mean, obviously, if you're not wearing your seatbelt in Pennsylvania, there is a law, and I know we have a lot of Pennsylvania cops that watch our stuff. I can't cite the actual statute, but I know that there's a mechanism to force this guy to ID, and if he doesn't ID, he's taking a ride.
Yep.
Okay, just so you know, my friend Mike Brave gave us a great case, Lewis versus State. And in fact, I think that is this, that is actually the case I was thinking out of Maryland, where they said basically the odor of marijuana alone is not allowing you to start searching people. You need a nexus as for them, right?
Right.
Also, I did put in there a Anchondo, right, which is the citation, which is out of 10th Circuit. Steve says not wearing a seatbelt is a secondary violation in Pennsylvania. Well, look. Fine.
Yes.
You get to pull them over for speeding first, and then get the seatbelt.
Right.
But Steve, are we under? Am I misreading this or misunderstanding that there is a mechanism in PA that if you lawfully pull the person over and the passenger's not wearing their seatbelt, push them to shove that they do not identify, are they getting arrested? Yes or no? Or push them to shove. At the end of the day, do you think the interpretation is they're getting arrested?
So of course, like to use that word thwart. Can you thwart being cited or arrested by not identifying?
I wish they worked that for speeding violations. I wish I can just thwart my speeding violation. Yeah.
It shouldn't work out like that.
Look, it would be, to me, if you couldn't enforce this law by just identifying yourself, that's going to be internet sensation.
Oh, yeah, right.
What else can you get away with when
Yeah, yeah.
identifying
Yeah,
yourself?
all you have to do now, just say no.
Yeah, exactly. Just say no. I mean, what is this? Nancy Reagan? The Nancy Reagan defense?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jack says straight to jail.
There you go.
Okay.